Hello, I'm the Smoking Cheddar, but I'm guessing you already knew that. No 3D image this week. I don't actually have a 3D image for this infantry unit. Infantry you say? Yes. Well, if you've been active in the comments section, you'll know that from the previous video, the Officer Spotlight, we were discussing various ways in which we could use that officer. And one of which was infantry. Now, this was something I was discussing in Discord voice chat prior to it coming up in the comment section. We were also discussing in the comment section the potential for using the previous officer, Margarita, on a number of other units. Spoiler alert. So, this is the specialist. Now, our scenario, we've got a field fighting unit that needs to shut down enemy combatants. Doesn't necessarily have to kill them, but it just needs to stop them in their tracks. I've got a build for that. So as always guys, make sure your headphones are in, you have a drink of water and a snack, and your partner is watching Miss Congeniality. I googled a list. 27 dresses was on that list. And we will start our build video. We don't actually have too far to go because we're going to start off on the attributes page today. And we're only really interested in a couple of things from the attributes. So we have an armor damage multiplier and a personnel damage multiplier of 125 for the personnel and 200 for the armor. This is a 7.1, but I believe these stats will carry through. And we have a secondary weapon. Now this is quite important to our build, this secondary weapon stat right here. So the secondary weapon is 458 flat across the board. We're not really interested in what it can do in fortification terms of damage. What we're interested in is personnel, and we're interested in armor. We have a load time of 21 seconds, so that is also going to be quite important. And again, this is at 7.1. I believe that load time might go down. I don't actually have this unit at modern, so I couldn't actually tell you, but I'm sure if I spent 20 minutes on Google we could get the exact number, but that's not the point because you're here for the build. So we have a damage at 7.1 of 124 with a reload time of 2 seconds. We all know the infantry fire horrendously fast and they keep firing, and what we're going to do is we're going to absolutely leverage that repeat fire mechanic that they have, and we're going to see how we can use it to disable, distract and aid the infantry into a swift victory. Not necessarily for them, but in a large open battle where you've got lots of chaos, lots of fighting going on. These guys, you're going to want to run them alongside alongside other tanks. This is just, when they released Margarita, I couldn't believe that they'd put some of the stats in on her that they have, and we're going to show you how we can utilize that for this build. Okay, so we've got the camp-specific infantry information here. Obviously, the camp bonus, we've got more balanced firepower and HP than infantry from other camps. And you can't quite see it because my fat head's in the way. Smoke bomb. Camp Liberty infantry can toss a smoke bomb to reset the enemy's load time, temporarily preventing them from attacking. We're going to absolutely stack this. Obviously, we go into bunkers and we get first aid. What's first aid? When we're out of battle, we're going to be able to regenerate hit points for the units for the units that are left alive in the squad. And also bunker, obviously we get a 2 map grid, reducing damage taken by 3% for everything inside that radius. So very handy because it does stack, and it does stack with other infantry, which makes this a very cheeky build, especially if you're going to run multiple infantry and an AG for field fighting in particular. Okay, so we're going to move straight on to the advanced infantry tech tree. As always, we're going to be looking at the pictured techs first, then we're going to be looking at the other tech throughout the tree, which perhaps if you're not going to complete the tree like this, you might want to pick up as maximum along the way. So obviously, concrete bunker, it gives a damage coefficient resistance for your infantry, as it says right there. Obviously, in order to get that, you will need to get troop damage resistance and troop damage intensity. Okay, so here we have Smoke Bomb, reduces the prep time of Camp Liberty infantry smoke bomb by 1.5 seconds and increases the duration by 1/4 of a second. So this is going back to what I said earlier from the information screen in the journal. We're going to be looking at Camp Liberty infantry can toss a smoke bomb to reset the enemy's load time, temporarily preventing them from attacking. That's going to be quite useful. What other techs will we need to max out on this tree? Delayed fuse. Infantry secondary weapon load time reduced by 30%. So the load time was 21 seconds. We're going to shave 7 seconds off just from maxing out this skill. And then on top of that, we're going to get another 1.5 seconds off. Now we are going to be out in the field, so we are going to want the damage intensity bonuses. We are going to want the damage resist bonuses. We're definitely going to want the firepower. The HP is not particularly necessary, but it will increase your survivability chances, although it's not integral to the build. But let's be honest, it's not going to hurt. Okay, so as always, when we approach the modern tree, we'll be looking from the halfway point only back to the start, because we're going to make the assumption that you're at the stage where you're looking at making advanced builds, but you don't necessarily have both trees open or even completed. So what we've got here is reduces the prep time of Camp Liberty's infantry smoke bomb by an additional second. That's going to be very handy for obvious reasons. We have additional damage resistance bonuses, which again is going to be handy because we're out in the field. People do like to target infantry because they think they're a bit squishy. Blast mitigation bonus will come in handy and is quite necessary to pick this up, I'm afraid, as things like RL and artillery will be targeting you from outside your maximum effective range. So blast damage mitigation is always a must. And infantry firepower, and again infantry HP if you feel the need to pick it up. Okay, something that I sometimes forget to do in these videos, but it's kind of like in half of the videos, the parts, because the parts are actually kind of important for the build. So here obviously we're aiming for bunker damage resistance and HP in slot 1. We don't really have much to choose from slot 2. We have HP and troop speed, which is perfect. Grenades are pretty much the same across the board, which is firepower and blast radius. And down here in slot 4, we're looking for firepower. We're not looking for HP, we're looking for firepower. We're going to need a lot of it. We're going to need lots of firepower. The way this build is going to work will become apparent towards the end of the video during the summary, but HP, while the HP is going to be useful, the firepower is where we're really going to be making gains with this build.
Some people just don't know when to shut up.
So typically when we're doing these builds, we like to have the highest damaging officer first, because we're often looking to deal damage, or perhaps we want the highest shield officer first because we're looking to reduce the amount of damage taken. This is going to be a bit of a strange build because we're actually looking to deal utility. So if you remember, we deal a smoke bomb by using the Liberty Infantry. This is a utility ability. It prevents the enemy from hitting you by resetting their unit attack time. Which is why we're actually going to want Bloody Mary first. So Bloody Mary isn't a particularly good officer, but she provides a heavy amount of utility. So let's just have a look at her skills quickly, and then we'll address the reason why we've chosen the trained skills. Aside from the fact this is one of the easiest officers to awaken in the game, once she is awakened, her tactical skill is upgraded. The tactical skill throws a flash bomb at the enemy, dealing damage to the target, coefficient of 1050, which isn't particularly much to write home about. But it also increases the prep time of the enemy officer's abilities by 1 second, and it also shocks the troop for 1 second. Now, what does shock do? Here, we've got a debuff that is going to reduce the enemy's ability to deal damage because it's going to basically make them miss an entire unit attack. But it's also going to increase that cast time for the aid skill because the two captains are going to go off at the same time. It's going to increase it by 1 second, which means your aid is going to pop off first. So if they are rolling double shield, this is going to be extremely handy because if you knock that shield out, you're going to get your secondary skill off before they are. Now, we've got the smoke bomb, we've got a prep time increase, and we have a chance for the enemy to miss. Let's have a look at the train skills. We are going to go with intimidating. How? This is because it gives us a level of extra utility. As I said, this is going to be a utility based build. So we're attacking the enemy units with the infantry, and we have a chance to reduce the enemy's movement speed by 30%. Extremely handy in large battles, or if someone is trying to escape you, you can pop this skill off because it's a passive skill, it's chance on attack, and it can happen once every 4 seconds, and the duration is lasts for 4 seconds. The rate of fire makes it incredibly likely that this is going to pop off, and they're not going to get away from you, which is why we wanted to stack the firepower, which just leads us on to our second skill. The best offense is from Iron Bastion, and it will increase the firepower by 30%, but once we're in bunker mode we get an additional 10%, which is absolutely fantastic. Those are the two main reasons why we want this officer, because we can deploy this skill and then we can just add in some nice extra buffs. We do get a damage intensity and we do get a troop speed increase, which again is leading into our utility. We don't really need the combat care. It is a bit of a wasted skill, which is why I didn't really bring it up. But extra movement speed when it's being combined with enemy troop speed reduction. Obviously, if you don't want them to get away because you are winning the fight, they're not getting away. And you probably will win the fight. And that firepower will obviously boost up the skill damage. Now, the skill damage, obviously, for Bloody Mary is very low, standing at 1050. So let's have a look at the aid. We're rolling Margarita. So obviously this was a bit of a spoiler as I let it drop in the opening segment of this video. We want this officer. Now, why do we want this officer? First of all, this dodge rate, chance that an attack will not damage you is 10%. We have the smoke bomb that's going to reset their attack time, effectively negating damage. We have a shock attack, which is going to negate incoming damage. and on top of that we have a prep time increase, which is going to slow down the amount of skill damage that they can deal. And now on top of that we've got the evasive steps, which is going to give us a 10% chance just to simply ignore damage. Just straight up ignore it. We have a damage intensity and damage resistance buff. While we're not actually looking down the damage intensity and resistance style tree, we are looking down the firepower and HP rather. This is still pretty nice. It's 10% either way. And of course we have a firepower buff of an additional 30% while in the field, which is of course what we're doing exactly with this infantry unit. We're sending them out into the field. We get a nice damage intensity of 15%. Now we do get a very high skill efficiency here, so we are going to meet that minimum 3000 between the two officers, so we are going to deal that damage that we need to do. And as I said before, yes, typically you would lead with this officer. You would have this officer in the captaincy and you would have the weaker officer in the aid. But because we want that shock skill to go off before any of her skills, kind of makes sense. This is only dealing damage, it doesn't deal utility, unlike Bloody Mary. This, however, is a very powerful utility ability. This officer's troop has a 75% of deploying either a flashbang or a tear gas grenade, which will either shock the target, as we've already discussed. We've got 2 chances to drop a shock. 2 chances to drop a shock. And it'll drop a gas grenade. And that gas grenade, again, increases the prep time by 1 second. And you've got a 50-50 chance to get either of those. So effectively, you're either going to double down on increasing their prep time, which is going to potentially increase the chance of a shield, a heal, a damage being popped off, or you're going to double shock them, which is going to, as we've said before, causes the normal attack to miss the target. So you're going to completely ignore 2 incoming attacks. And I'd like to point out you're ignoring 2 incoming attacks while having a 10% chance that the incoming attack that does hit you is going to deal no damage. Can I just stress how broken that potentially is? A third of the damage that's coming towards you effectively could be negated. And on top of that, we've got a movement speed reduction coming out of our infantry that we've trained in. And we've got 3k, just over 3k in damage coefficiency between 2 officers, which is the same as having 2 1500 damage coefficiency officers. Let that sink in for a second. This is quite a build. Now, for our first train skill, we're going for morale boost, because while we're an infantry troop, we get a 30% firepower buff. Very nice. And for the balance skill, we've gone for rugged survival because it is HP of 5% and firepower of 15%. Of course, any balance skill will do, which gives us the HP and firepower bonus, but this one is obviously tilted more towards the firepower, which is what we need. So the summary of the unit and its conclusion. This is going to work by you entering a scenario, a combat, where you're potentially outnumbered. You're going to be able to target any lead unit and effectively lock it out of play. You're going to be able to reset its load times, negating its next attack effectively. You've got a 10% chance when being attacked to ignore that attack entirely. We've got prep time increase, so any skill damage potentially is going to be delayed, or any shield is going to be delayed. To top it all off, we're sitting in a bunker, so we're getting a higher damage resistance, a higher amount of HP, and we get a high rate of fire. We've also got the smoke bomb, which will pop off every, I think it's 13 or 12 seconds, which is going to again reset the target's load time.
I don't like to talk crap.
while we're out in the field, we're going to be able to effectively shift the course of a battle very quickly. And in a one-on-one scenario, they're not getting away. If they're in a tank, first of all, a third of their shots are just not going to connect with you straight up. And the ones that do are just not going to deal as much damage because you're in a fortification. This is a very nasty field build. It uses utility to effectively shut down your opponent's ability to deal damage. Quite often on this channel, I focus very heavily on the ability to deal damage, or the ability to absorb damage, or the ability to negate damage. Very rarely do I look at ways we can debuff the enemy target to the point where it doesn't really matter what they do. Because you've got to remember, you've got to slow on them as well. So if that tank decides, hey, peace out, I'm off, no way, because you've got Bloody Mary as well. You've got a movement speed increase. You're going to catch up because they've also got a movement speed decrease. So they're just not going to get away from you. So they will be forced to turn and fight or lose all of their units. And if they decide to turn and fight, they're not going to deal any damage. So they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. So it depends how far away they are from their base in a one-on-one scenario. This build is designed to just be a gigantic pain in the arse for anyone who decides they want to go toe-to-toe with your infantry. Is it going to absolutely slap an RL? Depends. If they've got a +1 grid, they could potentially wipe you out before they get there if they've got a high enough firepower or skill damage. So there is that. Artillery, I mean, they get a 2-second load time and then a 4-second load time, so there is the potential that you would lose quite a bit of your firepower output through casualties off the initial shot and wave. Bombers, if you're in a bunker mode and they fly over, you're not going to receive that much damage. Helicopters, like tanks and MBTs and other infantry, probably aren't going to hurt you that much, if at all. You probably won't want to be able to use this in a defensive role. I mean, in a defensive role, it's not going to be terrible, because any unit it targets from inside your base, it's going to effectively have a high chance of reducing that target's ability to attack your base. But you must remember that at all times your base is targeting all 5 units in that base onto one hostile target. So is this really going to be that effective? Not really. If it was a crit build, or like the Grenadier build, for example, yeah, it's going to be very effective, but this is utility based, so not really. By the time it can really utilize any of its utilities, the target's most likely going to be dead. It will help, but not a lot. In terms of attacking an enemy base, the only time this is going to be effective is when you park it up to the allied soak, so the SH or the infantry that's designed to take damage, because you'll be giving them the additional 3% damage reduction just by being within 2 map grids for that AoE effect that infantry give. And that's something I don't see a lot of people do enough, is put their infantry directly next to the super heavies or the other infantry that are starting the fight. Guys, remember, you can stack that buff from the infantry and it can go on to any unit in the area. So I hope you like this build, because I've been very excited with Margarita coming into the game, because there's a lot of potential for things we can do with Margarita. And also that the fact that she has a 10% chance to dodge as well, there might be a little trick I can pull off during the summer. It's a big might, where I could potentially increase the dodge rate on my soak unit, and if I do, there's going to be maybe a new soaking build coming. I'm going to test that first. So at the moment, full disclosure, I do have Margarita's dodge rate trained in on Lotus, and I am going to start seeing the difference, hopefully pretty soon. This was a fun build. I really enjoyed this one. Quite often I look at builds and I'm like, oh yeah, that's quite interesting, but this is the first time I've sat there and gone, that's nasty. I mean, this is really nasty. I mean, in a one-on-one situation, that unit's not getting away from you. And in a large-scale battle, you're going to just be able to sneak in and shut units down without them being able to effectively deal damage. If you've got a high damaging, or sort of very effective tank in the middle of a massive battle, and you can identify that tank, you can just send this infantry in, just basically switch it off. That's the power of utility in this game. People don't really look at the utility abilities because they're like too busy looking at the damaging stuff. Some of the utility in this game is broken as hell, and this is definitely going to be up there. Anyway, I've been the Smoking Cheddar. I've been talking long enough, and you have been very patient. Thank you all for watching. There'll be a link to the Discord in the description box down below. As always, you're welcome to come and join the Discord, but do remember that you must be an adult about it. We do insult each other on a regular basis, and we do bully each other in voice chat. If you do decide to join voice chat, you're more than welcome to, but please remember, microphone and headphones. I don't want to hear your dog barking at the postman. I don't want to hear your partner watching TV, and I certainly don't want to hear your washing machine, because I will just give you abuse. Don't forget, you must always give the rules a pizza. If you don't give the rules a pizza, you're going to get bullied, and you ain't even going to know it. We love taking the mickey out of you guys who join my Discord server and don't read the top line of the rules page. It's not hard, guys. I'm sorry, it's not. If you do have any suggestions, by the way, for builds or anything, or perhaps things you'd like to see, as always, feel free to leave a comment. I am always active in the comment section. Sometimes, yes, I forget to comment or reply for a couple of days. Just keep nudging me. Just keep nudging me. I'll get there. And drink that water. You're not a stone or a piece of dirt. You're a human being. You're mostly made out of the stuff. Just go get a drink. Go get a drink, guys.